I I think that there's always been that little tiny piece of me that I was hiding, or that piece of knowledge that I was hiding and trying to reserve for my course, and that is no longer, and now people can tell. I also wanted to share something interesting that I learned. So another reason why I wanted to make my course free, I was noticing, and I think that you might find this in a lot of Instagram like accounts who have courses as well, or YouTube accounts that have courses, or any social media really. If they're selling information or if they're selling knowledge, I've noticed this. And that is, there's a trend in social media and course content generators where, and you'll even see this in, if you take a course on how to build and sell a course, this is what they teach you. You learn to put the what and the why on Instagram. So like the what, the like definition of picky eating would be like the what, and the why, so like why you need to address picky eating, but the how of like how actually to fix picky eating, save that for inside your course. And I just don't like that model, because I feel like and this is from, I read this in Gary Vaynerchuk's Crushing It, and I totally agree with this. So this is not my original idea, but once I read this, I was like, oh my gosh, this is why I'm struggling with this so much. It's like a conflict of interest when you have an Instagram account and you say, I'm doing this Instagram account just to bring information to people because I genuinely want to help people, but I'm always going to reserve this little piece of content or this big piece of content and put it in my course, and I want people to pay for it. And so you're always like, I'm going to help you this much, but not all the way. And I mean, that's a fair approach, because people go to school and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to get their degrees. And, you know, especially in my field, like, we're medical professionals, and you pay these medical professionals for an appointment to go work with them to help your kid. So it's a fair approach, but it just didn't feel good to me, because I felt like I was always holding back on something, on helping people. And so when I took that barrier for myself away, when I said, okay, I'm not going to do that anymore, and with every piece of content, I am genuinely going to help as much as I possibly can. I'm going to put as much of my knowledge and information and experience as I can into this post to help parents as much as possible with this one post or reel or IGTV or whatever it is. And I will tell you, my content has gotten exponentially better in just like the past 2 weeks. The interactions and engagement with my content have been exponentially better. My reach has gone up, my follower count has gone up, and I think that people can tell. People can tell that there's like, I've always been a genuine person, and I've always tried to be genuine on social media, or I feel like I've always been a genuine person anyways, but I think that there's always been that little tiny piece of me that I was hiding, or that piece of knowledge that I was hiding and trying to reserve for my course, and that is no longer. And now people can tell. People can tell when you are giving them information in order to sell them something, in order to book them on a discovery call, in order to put them in your course, you know, and people can tell when you're giving them information just to give them information and just to help. And people are smart. They know when you're trying to sell them something. And I just didn't really like when, like, I was reading a post and I was like, oh, this is helpful, and at the end of the caption it's like, and by the way, pay me this much money to join whatever. And, you know, and then I was doing that, and it was hard because that selling piece I was never really good at. I never learned to sell things at school because I'm a scientist by trade. And so that was hard for me. And looking back at it now, it wasn't hard for me, because like understanding how to do it was hard. Grasping the knowledge of how to sell was not hard for me. Like learning how to sell, not hard for me. What was hard for me is that it felt disingenuous. And that's why it was difficult for me. And so now, making this content free, making this information free, that is so aligned with me and the values that I want to bring to my business. That is why I feel peace about my business direction. And I feel freedom with my business. And it's a really good feeling. And I hope that for my business friends watching this, you know, you don't have to make your content free to feel like that. Selling can feel very in line with your mission, vision, and values. and it can feel genuine to you. And if it does, then you do that. But what I've learned in this process is if anything feels disingenuous in business, that's because it is. And you should do something about it. You know, I lost a year of traction on this idea of making my course free. But, you know, such is life. It's a learning experience. I'm learning a lot from it. And one final thing I want to say for my business friends too. This is not going to be like a business YouTube channel, but I just have gotten a lot of questions about how I'm doing this and why I'm doing this and my resources and stuff. So I want to answer those because I can't, like, 20 minutes talking about this on Instagram stories is not going to fly. So I have learned that most of the information that you can learn in a business coach setting or a business course setting is online or in books. And the reason people pay for a business coaching course is to have like the direct one-on-one accountability, or because they want all the information like gathered in a neat place for them instead of having to like do the work and go find it yourself. But if you can't afford a business coach, you do not need a business coach to have all of this information. It is out there online. A lot of the business coaching that I have seen is repeating other information from other sources. It's just really neatly packaged and easily accessible. So if you can't afford a business coach, you don't need one. You can learn all this information online, especially YouTube, Audible. My two big sources were like YouTube and Audible. I did have a business coach, but I as I worked through the content, I noticed that a lot of it was like replicated from other places like books and podcasts and like other coaches that put out free content. So you don't have to pay for one if you can't afford one. You don't have to feel like your business is not going to be successful because you can't afford a business coach. Things I've learned, like from the business side of things, are that if you feel like you're being disingenuous on social media, it's because you are, and people can tell. People can smell you trying to sell something. No matter how much free content you give them, if it's ultimately with the goal of selling, people can tell. People will make the decision to buy when they want to buy. If you're trying to sell, people can tell. And if you're trying to help people, people can tell. And so, like, there's a difference in your approach there for sure. And you don't need a business coach. If you can't afford one, you don't have to feel bad, because a lot of this information is out there and readily available on books. I listen to mine in Audible, on YouTube, blogs, and podcasts. Now it's time to go put my mom hat on and hang out with my family. So I love you guys. Thank you for joining me, and more videos to come.